Hello, and let's get into the anabolic diet and the changes that we've done and the reasons and why behind this, so you can get a good idea of the reasons why. So we'll go through some facts first and exactly what the plan is. So by me doing this is more for me to be able to learn how my body peaks constantly with carbohydrates and work out the exact amount that my body's going to need to be glycogen filled and exactly things. So with the anabolic diet itself, it says different levels exact for it to be effective. Them levels, I don't use them levels for protein intake, fat intake on the low days, and carbohydrate intake on the high days. I will go more depth in what I actually do and the different changes that I did in between that nutrition to make it efficient for me during this period of time. But yeah, so basically it gives me the same response if I was planning to peak constantly, and I get all the benefit effects from the decrease of insulin on the low days, the increase of insulin on the higher days, and the taper off of T3 on the low days, but then on the high days the rebounce back of the T3 during this period of time. So there'll be a little bit more in depth in that down below. Check that out, have a look at that, give you some basic more facts on the anabolic diet. I might just press play at the end so you can listen to the bot speak about that with that in aspects. But as I was explaining, so that was the plan for me doing that, so I can learn my body during that period of time and exactly what it needs, and I can peak it better. So then I've got all them weeks of practicing as I'm moving along. Like, I'm not sure if the 2 days is going to be effective for me. I might have to reduce them calories, or I might have to reduce the day. I've got no idea. So we're going to play it by ear. I'm going to keep you updated as we move along, because like I said, with me, for anything, I like practical information that it actually works and it does what it needs to do. Like it says, I don't use a lot of information from studies and other things because of the factor of, is that a trained individual? Does he train exactly the same as me? What's their food intake? How many times a day do they eat? All these small factors that come into it. They either say, it's a trained placebo group, but it could be a trained group of them going for a walk and doing no resistance training. So it makes it difficult to create a correct measurement on that. But like I said, all for you and for studying. If you check the studies out and that, like I said, I just look at it as, if it works, I will keep it. If it is broken and doesn't work, it doesn't need to be in just for me. But by saying that too, if it doesn't work for me, does not mean it's not going to work for you. So, best to test these things out yourself and see, what will work better for you. But yeah, so this is how we got the structure of the 2 days and the 5 days of low. But like I said, I'll bring you some more information coming forward with the anabolic diet and the changes I do as we're moving forward. Let's jump into training and the days I've got it on. So the second reason why I have introduced this as well, to take a benefit of the higher amount of carbohydrates on my leg day. I redid my measurements and everything. My legs, I lost about 5 centimeters off the legs. Due to losing the 5 centimeters off the legs, I was like, okay, right, let's fix this and figure out what I can do, what foods I can manipulate to make this more efficient. So as I'm saying, because I'm doing this more for legs, give or take, I might even move it into the rest day and then go from legs to and then just having the blue days. I'll adjust that and see how it goes, because realistically the training you do that day is build up from the glycogen stores the day before. So if this doesn't work efficiently this way, I might adjust that to get the more benefit effect from having a really good pump in the legs and having a good training day for the legs. So this is why it's more individual. So for me, I want to bring their measurements back up. So, there's a few reasons why I give you and why I think this will work more efficient for me for now. Like I said, it doesn't mean I'm going to take it the whole way through, because if you started my journey, what have I've done the keto diet to start off with, did that so it's easier for me to get used to eating all the meat again and all the food, and then get my cravings under control. And then I went back to carbohydrate diet. I did the high carbohydrate diet, like high and low days, the fluctuating between it. I did that for about a week and a half, but nothing was changing, and I was slightly still gaining weight. Could be a factor of when I was doing the keto diet, I didn't pay attention to my calories at the beginning. So make sure you pay attention to your calories at the beginning. So I probably could have started at the higher amount of fat intake at the beginning of that nutrition. Usually I do, but I was just I didn't really bother, to tell you the truth. But I'm tracking everything more now, more precise on everything, and these are the factors to thing. But that helps as well. Helps me be able to manipulate things at a better amount and make it better for me. So that's it there. Like I says, I'm going to drop this week's weight up here so you can have a look at this week's weight. So, we did well for this week. Like I said, so I've only been into this for about 5 days. So I had a high day. Well, it was not really a high day. It was my high day, what I was doing before, if you had a look. So it was this here. Here. So, so I stopped on my high day, and then I started... so I did about 300 carbs and that. So I'm about, 5 days. So it doesn't give me a correct interpretation of the whole period of time. I usually like least to give things close to the 2-week mark, and then I can actually see it is working, my body's adjusted, everything is doing what it's meant to do. So so that's what we're going to come forward with that. So that's all I got time for today. Tune in again. I'm going to play this bot for you guys. So I'm going to leave you with some posing and the bot.
Insulin levels. Low-carb phase. Reduction in insulin levels. During the low-carb phase, the intake of carbohydrates is minimized. This results in lower blood glucose levels, which in turn reduces the secretion of insulin by the pancreas. Lower insulin levels promote fat mobilization and oxidation, facilitating fat loss. Improved insulin sensitivity. Prolonged periods of low carbohydrate intake can improve insulin sensitivity. When carbohydrates are reintroduced during the high-carb phase, the body's response to insulin is more efficient, potentially leading to better glucose uptake and reduced risk of insulin resistance over time. High-carb phase. Spike in insulin levels. During the high-carb refeed days, carbohydrate intake is significantly increased. This leads to a temporary spike in insulin levels, which helps replenish muscle glycogen stores and promotes an anabolic environment conducive to muscle growth and recovery. Anabolic effects. The insulin spike during high-carb days drives nutrients, including glucose and amino acids, into muscle cells, enhancing muscle protein synthesis and recovery. T3, triiodothyronine, levels. Low-carb phase. Potential reduction in T3 levels. Extended periods of low carbohydrate intake can lead to a reduction in T3 levels. T3 is an active thyroid hormone that plays a crucial role in regulating metabolism. Lower carbohydrate intake can signal the body to conserve energy, which might result in reduced T3 production. Metabolic rate. A decrease in T3 levels can lead to a slight reduction in metabolic rate, which is the body's way of adapting to lower energy availability. This adaptation is a protective mechanism to conserve energy during periods of perceived caloric scarcity. High-carb phase. Restoration of T3 levels. The high-carb refeed days help counteract the reduction in T3 levels by providing an abundance of carbohydrates. This signals the body that energy is readily available, leading to a normalization or increase in T3 levels. Metabolic boost. The increase in carbohydrate intake during the high-carb phase can boost the metabolic rate, preventing the metabolic slowdown that might occur with prolonged low-carb dieting. This cycling helps maintain a more robust and flexible metabolism. Summary of effects. Insulin. the anabolic diet strategically manipulates insulin levels to maximize fat loss and muscle growth. Low-carb phases lower insulin levels, enhancing fat burning, while high-carb phases spike insulin to promote glycogen replenishment and muscle anabolism. T3. The cyclical nature of the diet helps prevent significant drops in T3 levels by alternating between low and high carbohydrate intake. This approach helps maintain metabolic health and prevents the adaptive reduction in metabolic rate associated with continuous low-carb dieting. By cycling between these phases, the anabolic diet aims to harness the benefits of both low and high carbohydrate states, optimizing hormonal responses for fat loss, muscle growth, and overall metabolic health.